I'm Clinton Griffiths. The Trump administration taking steps to protect farms from ICE raids. The president reportedly directing immigration officers to pause arrests of workers at farms, restaurants, hotels, and meatpacking plants. Now that's according to an internal email reviewed by Reuters, a person familiar with the matter saying the president was not aware of the extent of the enforcement push, and once it hit him, he pulled it back. Now, last week, we told you about immigration raids on some California produce farms, a meatpacking plant in Nebraska, as well as search warrants being carried out at a New Mexico dairy. The president posting about the immigration sweeps on his Truth Social site last week, saying farmers and people in hotel and leisure industries were having very good longtime workers taken away from them, calling the situation, quote, not good. USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins posting a statement on X saying, quote, the president and I have consistently advanced a farmers first approach, recognizing that American households depend upon a stable and legal agricultural workforce. Severe disruptions to our food supply would harm Americans. It took us decades to get into this mess, and we are prioritizing deportations in a way that will get us out. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security also releasing a statement to Farm Journal saying, quote, we will follow the president's direction and continue to work to get the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens off of America's streets, end quote. AgDay's Michelle Rook has been looking into the issue. Michelle, many farmers must be breathing a sigh of relief.
That's exactly right, Clinton. The agricultural community is welcoming President Trump's order for ICE to pause their raids at farms and meat processing plants. Now, they say it's created absenteeism and labor shortages that could severely disrupt the U.S. food supply. They're also calling for immigration reform with hopes this will finally bring the issue to a head.
You know, they have very good workers.
Ag groups like Farm Bureau say President Trump's exemption of sectors of agriculture to immigration crackdown is critical after ICE raids of produce farms and a string of I-9 audits at dairies and packing plants.
So a lot of these people, whether they knew it or not, maybe had been working at these dairies 10 or 20 years, and they're good employees. They're not the criminals that the president talked about deporting. They've been good, responsible people and are contributing to the cause.
Dairy producers say they rely on immigrant labor to provide a stable year-round workforce and to keep the U.S. food supply stable.
We need these people to take care of our animals so we can produce food. Without animal care, we won't have milk, cheese, butter, nothing.
Meat processors were already seeing absenteeism at plants after recent ICE raids, and cattle futures responded negatively to the news. So conversely, this action is being well received in the market.
This is something we traded months before. You know, at the beginning of the Trump administration, we had this same worry with the crackdown, whether this was going to impact, absenteeism and things like that. So hopefully we can put that in our rearview mirror.
This situation is turning up the heat on a long-term fix because farmers agree that current verification and H-2A or guest worker programs don't work.
If you have livestock, they don't, because right now they're all seasonal. They got to come in and work a certain amount of time for a certain job, milking cows, feeding calves, doing 24-hour things with livestock. That there isn't a program that we can do that with.
Vanderwall is cautiously optimistic the recent raids and immigration protests may force politicians to finally pass meaningful reform.
Well, temporarily, we're going to need to leave some of those people here and let them work, and then find a way. Maybe they can go home and then come back legally and contribute again. But the basis to the whole thing is we need to fix our labor situation, our labor laws in this country. And we need more access to legal labor, and we need to get that fixed really soon.
I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.